It's back! The European Fulfilment Network between the UK to the EU is opening in March 2022. Some of you may have already been lucky enough to be invited to the beta launch that occurred last year, but for those that have been notified by email, UK to EU EFN is back now with a slight difference which we're going to cover within this video. Starting March 2022, when it's going to be ready to rock and roll, fulfilment from the UK to the EU is reopening via the European Fulfilment Network, so the EFN for short. Now that's subject to the EFN network fees, and eligible offers will become live in phases through right up until May 2022. Now the European Fulfilment Network allows FBA sellers like you and me to store our goods in our local fulfilment centres within the UK and then fulfill orders and sell across to the EU customers, maximising inventory control, flexibility, but also increasing our customer reach and obviously therefore our sales. Now I'll provide you with all the details that you need to enroll within the new EFN program between the UK and the EU, and during the video, along with important information that you need to know about the differences of this program and what it brings, and obviously the steps that you need to take in order to get it started. So stay tuned. Hey, Tady here from the Online Seller Circle. Welcome to this channel. If you're new here, make sure that you subscribe to this channel using the bell button below, and also turn on the notifications so that you're notified every single time we release a new video. And if you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and put any comments below and we'll come back to you. So let's get stuck in. So the EFN relaunch is very different to what it used to be. So take note on this throughout this video. Now, the EFN covers all of the EU, but I would say you're going to want to only sell in the marketplaces that are Germany, France, Italy and Spain, unless of course you're wishing to actually do pan EU. Now with EFN, it allows you to store the goods within the UK fulfillment centres and then fulfill via Amazon to customers within the EU, and without you having to have any VAT obligations. So your stock is moving from the location stored in the UK fulfillment centres, and when an EU customer purchases them, so obviously they're live to those marketplaces, Amazon are then going to fulfill those products directly from the UK fulfillment centres to the location of the customer in the EU. So you don't have to store your goods within the EU fulfillment centres, and then you're not subject to VAT obligations. So this is really, really important to understand. Now, as long as you remain below the sales VAT threshold per marketplace within the EU countries, you won't need to register for VAT. So it is different to pan Euro. So please make sure that you identify which is going to be best for you, whether or not you do need to, register for pan Euro. If you're doing, let's say, $1 million a year, then it's probably going to be more beneficial for you to do it that way and cheaper in fees. But if you're below that threshold and also you're not selling higher than the VAT threshold in the EU countries at the moment, and you want to open up more of these countries and use EFN, now this is certainly the program to start with. So the other marketplaces also, which are not Italy, Spain, Germany and France, they each have their own currency and they have their own rules that are not in line with mainland Europe. So make sure that you stick to these marketplaces. Now, the important points to know about EFN and this new launch. It's going to be using the IOS system, which is the import one-stop shop, with the Amazon export and shipping system to therefore obviously create the EFN program. Now, first and foremost, I'm not a financial advisor, so please make sure that you speak to a financial advisor or an independent person about your individual circumstances. But for every item that you sell through EFN, it's going to have VAT added to it, regardless of what you're pricing it at. So you need to take that into consideration when you are pricing and marking up your products to sell to these EU customers. There is a max value or price that you'll need to abide by, which is €135 in the EU, or equivalent of £122 in the UK. Now, this is the most expensive item that you can sell through EFN. Anything above that, it's going to cause you issues. So make sure when you're sourcing your products and you're pricing them, you're taking into consideration the EFN fees, which we'll cover shortly, but also the VAT that's going to be added to that. Regardless of whether they're VAT exempt products or not, VAT is going to be added. Regardless of whether you are VAT registered or not in the UK, VAT is going to be added to these products. It's very, very important to understand that. And this VAT amount is subject to the marketplace rate. So each European marketplace is going to differ. For example, if you sold a product to a French customer, Amazon is going to charge them VAT, and Amazon is going to take that VAT away along with their fees, and you're going to be left with the remainder. So if you're VAT registered, you need to work these costs into your margin. But if you're not VAT registered, then you're going to need to count for VAT, that percentage on every product sale or the order total that Amazon are going to take. So make sure you investigate the VAT percentage amounts for Germany, France, Italy and Spain. And this is how EFN is going to work. They're going to be taking the VAT from the total order as they're charging the customer, and they're then going to be giving you the difference minus obviously the EFN fees. And Amazon's going to pay the relevant authorities in that marketplace, in that European marketplace, the VAT amount that the customer has paid. And this is why you don't need to do any of the compliance, and as long as you remain below the sales threshold for each of those marketplaces, Amazon's going to do that for you. You don't need to register and file it yourself. So it's important to bear in mind and to track as you start and you progress and you start selling through these European marketplaces, that you keep track of your EU sales totals so that you know what the thresholds are for each marketplace, and you know where you are and where you're standing at each point in time when you're reviewing your finances, your income for each marketplace. Now, if and when you reach the threshold for each independent EU marketplace, you will need to register for VAT in that said marketplace. So just think about that and track your sales once you start selling. You could monitor the sales and turn off the marketplace when you are close to that VAT threshold so you don't go over it. Remember, it's a continuous 12-month rolling period. Or alternatively, if you do reach the VAT threshold, you might wish to then consider moving to Pan-EU and actually register for VAT in that marketplace, because Pan-EU would be better from a margins point of view when you do become VAT registered. So what are the requirements for this new EFN program that's being released? Well, to sell between the UK and the EU using the European Fulfillment Network, you must have the following. You need to have access, obviously, to your UK Seller Central account, but also the EU Seller Central accounts as well. FBA offers for your products need to be obviously available in the source marketplace, which will be the UK, and therefore any eligible products that you list once this program opens for all and for you, you will then obviously be able to see your products live. Inventory for eligible offers stored need to be obviously in the UK fulfillment centre, so you actually have to have the stock available in order for those listings to be live that are eligible across those European marketplaces. Now note that not all products that you list may be available in all of them. They might be available in some of the EU marketplaces, and you'll be able to manage that through your Seller Central accounts in each individual European account as well. Shipping programs and export settings need to be enabled for both EU and UK fulfillment, or UK EU stores must be enabled obviously for export from the UK to Germany, Italy, France and Spain. And if you have more than one EU account, each EU account can be managed separately through your Seller Central account. So how does it work? You create offers on your amazon.co.uk marketplace, and you can then turn on what's called the BIL to then sync your listings across DE, FR, IT and ES, those stores. So that's Germany, France, Italy and Spain. Now you use the same process that you use to create your offers on your domestic store, your source store. Now the same SKU must be provided for both of the offers within the UK and across the EU marketplaces. the European Fulfillment Network fees will apply, and they're approximately 3 times more than the standard UK fulfillment fees. For example, where you may pay £3 on a UK purchase item to get that sent across to the customer within the UK marketplace, it may cost £9 plus to actually send that same item to an EU customer. So make sure that you take that into consideration, and also be sure to review the EFN fee table so that you understand what pricing point that you need to mark your EFN listings up by, so that you can still profit. And also ensure that your prices reflect the European Fulfillment Network fees and VAT that's going to be added. So you'll need to set this up within your BIL, your Build International Listings page of your Seller Central account, and ensure that the pricing rule is adjusted automatically so that when you list products going forward, they're priced above your source marketplace, which is your UK marketplace. I'd recommend a percentage above your source marketplace rather than a monetary amount. And at the moment, we're probably looking at 40 to 50%, just so this allows for you to account for the EFN fees, as we said, at least 3 times the amount that's in the UK, and also any VAT costs that Amazon will obviously charge the customer. Now, you'll have to play around with this percentage increase to get your pricing rules correct. And play them to get them right so that you can take into consideration the different types of products that you're selling as well. Now, eligibility for this program. The price of an individual product or item must not exceed €135 in the EU or £122 in the UK. So make sure you take note of this, because if an item is listed at a price higher than this, it's not going to be going through the IOS system. So you're going to have to do the customs documentation, or you may need to actually register for Pan-EU. So very, very important that you make sure you list products that are below this threshold. And also take into consideration if you're specifically buying stock to sell in the EU, because of this €135/122 limit, you must take into consideration the percentage increase rule that you add in. So we referred to that earlier, around about 40 to 50% that you're going to mark up above your source marketplace. Now, the European Fulfillment Network ASIN eligibility file can also be used to add or remove offers from the EFN cross-border program at store level at any time. But you would also be able to view whether or not your listings are active, and also whether or not which marketplaces they're active in via your Seller Central FBA inventory page per marketplace. Now, for anyone on the fence considering Pan-EU over the EFN networks program, one thing to note on Pan-EU is I'd only consider doing this over EFN if you, as I said earlier, are hitting the £1 million a year mark in terms of sales. If you're not there, then EFN is definitely the starting program for you. And as a reminder, the EFN network is available only at the moment between the UK, fulfilling to Germany, France, Italy and Spain, and of course that may change in the near future. Now, for a list of the European Fulfillment Network fees per marketplace, you can go to the FBA fees changes page, and we'll also drop a link so that you've got that information there as well. Now, if you use the Build International Listings tool and have not updated the default pricing rule, change this to price above source marketplace. So we want to ideally look at a percentage or either a monetary point, a monetary value. Now, all eligible offers will be active, and the pricing rule will then be updated once you've set this up. Do not use the option that's suggested as same as source marketplace, because you will be at a loss. You will not profit. Remember, we're looking at fees at least 3 times the amount of the UK, so your end pricing that the customer pays needs to be a reflection on an increase of the UK price, so that you take into consideration the fees that are going to be charged and also the VAT that's going to be charged as well. Now, your UK and your EU pricing, once you've done this, will be synchronized automatically and will then adjust for estimated fulfillment fees and VAT differences going forward. And of course, if you've got a repricer set up, once that's set up and the items actually go live, your repricer can then dig in and start ticking those those prices nicely up in line with the competitors that are on the listing and selling as well. Now, when you get it set up, you're going to start receiving income from your EU sales on Amazon, and Amazon are going to charge you to convert the euros into sterling. So you're going to be at probably a 1 to 2% loss. They're going to take money from you for making that currency exchange and then paying you into your nominated bank account. So I'd highly recommend that if you haven't done so already, that you set up an EU bank account and add that as a deposit method for your EU marketplaces inside your Seller Central account. Now, I highly recommend Wise, which was previously known as TransferWise, and we'll also drop a link so that you've got access to that so you can get it set up. Now, the responsible person. If you have products that are manufactured outside the EU, let's say US, China, etc., they have to qualify for a CE mark, so it's a type of conformity. And there has to be a responsible person allocated to represent the product, but that are not liable for that product if anything was to go wrong. So they're an independent person. Now, the responsible person for CE mark products is a natural or legal person that is appointed in order to kind of communicate with any market surveillance authorities of the EU member states in which CE marked products are sold. Now, this person is not the sales representative, they're not the distributor. He or she will be also not take over the product liability. Really important to understand kind of who this person is and what they do. Now, the responsible person's role is primarily to be a single point of contact for the authorities and to communicate on behalf about any questions in relation to regulatory conformity and also CE compliance. So if there is a problem, let's say, that arises with a product, any person in the supply chain can actually go to this responsible person, this independent person, and request specific documentation about the product, and they need to hold it. So this independent person has to actually be a person and not fictitious. They have to be a person and they have to be located in Europe. So for example, if you're selling private label, Amazon actually provides a service for this, or you can alternatively use your manufacturer. Now, when the UK left the EU, those selling in the UK marketplace didn't need to add a responsible person to their listings because we'd left. But for arbitrage now, and using the EFN, you're going to need to ensure that any listings that you are selling in have a responsible person and those details listed under the responsible person dashboard for each of those products. Because even though the UK left the EU, those selling in the UK marketplaces then when we left weren't selling across the EU3 EFN because they'd stopped it. Now with this relaunch, we're going to be sending and selling products again to EU marketplace customers. So we need to make sure that we have the responsible person in place and stated on Amazon for these listings. Now, if there isn't one added to the listing in the said marketplace, it could get removed or suppressed. Now, presently, there's no metric or scoring that's going to impact you on your account health if you don't have a responsible person listed or updated. The worst case scenario, the listing could be removed, it could be suppressed until such time as you take action or another person selling on the listing takes action to actually update it with the details required. But what do you do if it hasn't got a responsible person and you want to list this product? If a seller hasn't already listed the responsible person, you're going to have to do some digging. If they have listed the responsible person, brilliant, you can go ahead and sell the item. Now, it's not based on every seller, so if one seller on the listing updates that correctly and Amazon accepts that information, everyone else on the listing going forward and currently can actually sell that product. But if it's not present on the listing, you're going to need to find the responsible person details and add them. Now, if you're sourcing from verified and reputable distributors or wholesalers, for example, it should be easy for you to contact them and actually find the information and update that. If you're sourcing from the likes of supermarkets, it might prove a little bit more difficult. Now, you can, of course, use Google, or you can get hold of the declaration of conformity for the products, which will have the details on so you can go ahead and update them. Now, you will be, of course, notified of any listings going forward that you're selling on which don't have the responsible person listed, and you can also review this information via the responsible person's dashboard inside your Seller Central account. Now, EU customer returns with EFN. Great question. What happens to any returns from EU customers? Because if we're storing goods in the UK and we're then selling them to EU customers, we don't really want returns from EU customers going to the EU fulfillment centres. As storing stock, as we know, in these marketplace fulfillment centres will mean that we'll have to register for VAT. Now, in terms of storing goods in the EU fulfillment centres and the VAT obligations, etc., what is the options? What are the ways around this? Now, I've actually had conflicting information on this subject, on this question, and initially we were informed that stock sold to EU customers who wish to then return them after the purchase will only need to be returned to the UK marketplace fulfillment centres residing in that country. For example, if you sold a product to a French customer and they wish to return the product, they would need to file a return request through Amazon, and they can then have the product returned to a French fulfillment centre. Now, as we know, this presents an issue because as a UK seller, you would have to either dispose of the stock quickly so that it can be removed from that EU fulfillment centre using Amazon's service, or remove it to an EU address of your choosing and then potentially have those goods sent back to you in the UK, and you'd need to be responsible for dealing with the paperwork, customs and the payments, etc. We reached out to Amazon on a number of occasions directly about this, and actually Amazon confirmed, and I'll quote, "Returns will not be sent back to an EU fulfillment centre, rather an FC, so fulfillment centre located in the UK. The customer is provided with an international returns label." Now, this is good news for us as long as it's 100% true. But as we know, sometimes we get conflicting information from seller support. So I would advise reaching out to seller support directly yourself, asking this question and getting this information verified in a text message response so that you can file that and you've got proof going forward in future to counter any issues with EU returns or removals that you may have. Because as it stands, cross-border fulfillment requires customs paperwork, and you can't bypass the IOS system presently that I've seen, and I can't see Amazon doing the paperwork for us, but I'm sure that they are working on a resolution for this. And if you're in any doubt, you should always keep an eye on your stock levels and also where your stock is located in each fulfillment centre and marketplace location, and you can do that via your daily inventory check report that's inside your Seller Central account. Now, a few things to watch out for, just as an added note to remind you. Be sure to take into consideration what you're selling in the UK and whether or not specific types of products, electronics, electricals, specific products that might have UK only instructions inside them, and whether or not you're actually listing those across the EU marketplaces. Because someone in Germany or Spain, for example, that isn't fluent in English may not wish to receive a product that is peppered in English writing and has only UK instructions, and they're not going to be able to read that. It's going to take them a lot of effort to actually understand what they need to do. So take that into consideration. The other thing that's really important is if you're selling items, let's say with a UK plug, a kettle, for example, is not going to have an EU plug. And no doubt an EU customer is going to purchase this item. They're going to then return it because they can't use it. And also the voltage is different between the UK to EU as well. So this may prove difficult to actually get your products back. So make sure that you take note in what you're sourcing, what you're selling, and where you actually want it to be listed live. Now, you can disable certain products and make them exempt via the Build International Listings page for this very reason, or you can simply manually close the listings down in the said marketplaces before they've gone live. Now, as it stands, this new EFN program is an automatic opt-in. So, very important, if you're watching this and you do not want to sell across Germany, France, Italy and Spain, you will need to opt out to prevent any eligible offers from being activated by 11:59 p.m. on the 23rd of February. So make sure that if you do not want to sell across EFN, you need to opt out of this program so that eligible offers that you've currently got listed and active in your UK marketplace don't become active within the EU marketplaces. So what are the actions and the steps that you now need to take to get started if this is for you? Well, the first thing is you need to review the European Fulfillment Network fees, and we'll drop a link below so that you've got access to that and you can log in and review them. Again, make sure that you take note in terms of per marketplace and the information it gives you, and it's approximately 3 times the amount within the UK. The second thing is actually for you to go ahead and enroll in the UK to EU program. We'll also drop a link to that below so that you can go ahead and get that sorted. Select, once you've done that and you've clicked on the link, you'll need to select the types of products and the fulfillment, and also select the marketplaces, and then you can actually set your pricing rules. So for example, 50% above the source marketplace, so that when your products are then active and you've got stock and this program goes live going forward, what will happen is once you've got active stock in the UK fulfillment centres, that pricing rule that you've added within the Build International Listings page will actually then sync across the eligible offers within the European marketplaces under your Seller Central account. You'll also need to just allow the connection to be created and sync, and that usually takes approximately 4 hours once you've completed those steps on the Build International Listings page. Now, under your settings, you'll find a page called Cross-Border, or a section called Cross-Border Fulfillment. And this is where you want to ensure that you enable storage location only within the UK. So you'll also want to enable Germany, France, Italy and Spain under the EFN between UK to EU section, but whatever you do, don't enable inventory storage in other EU countries or select EU inventory to fulfill orders to the UK, because we want to ensure that we're maintaining our stock storage in the UK only, and we're using the EFN program to actually fulfill across to the EU marketplaces. If you accidentally enable inventory storage in the UK, make sure you turn it off quickly before this program goes live, so that you're not subject to having your stock stored in these European marketplace fulfillment centres and obviously then liable for VAT registration. Once you've done that, you can click update, and then you'll move across to your shippings and export section. Now, this is also found under the settings and fulfilled by Amazon page on your Seller Central account. Check that your shippings program and export settings for each of those EU marketplaces that we referred to earlier are enabled, so that when this program goes live, your offers will go live and you'll be able to start, Amazon will be able to start fulfilling orders to those EU customers. You may also need to read and accept the terms and conditions for the Amazon partnered carrier for each of those marketplaces. And the last thing really to do is to set up and add your EU bank account as your deposit method to the EU marketplaces inside your Seller Central account. So this is so whenever you receive funds from your EU sales and you then go in and you manually disperse them from your Seller Central account every 24 hours, they're actually going into your EU bank account rather than allowing Amazon to do the currency conversion for you and paying you directly into your UK account. You'll actually save money, and a lot of money across the year, if you actually have an EU bank account as your deposit method rather than allowing Amazon to do that for you. So that's it. Once you've done all of this and the deadline approaches, all your eligible offers and your listings going forward that you add to your UK marketplace will sync automatically, and once they're active, they'll then be live for sale across the EU marketplaces. Now be sure to update your repricer if you're using one to make sure that your pricing rules kick in so that you are always within your min and max pricing rules, or your ROI pricing rule, depending on kind of what you're using. Now, if you're looking for a repricer, we thoroughly recommend STK as our repricer of choice, and we'll drop a link below so that you can get that set up and tested if you're not working it with a free 14-day trial. Now that's it, you're ready to rock and roll once you've gone through these steps. So in summary, EFN is a great way for you to increase your sales, increase your customer reach, as well as selling stock that might not be selling that well in the UK, and having the opportunity to then be able to sell that to EU customers where those products might be actually selling better, to actually help move stock, that slow selling stock from the UK, let's say, and move that across to in front of EU customers, and ultimately help with your inventory health. Now, it may be a few hurdles that you need to jump through in order to get this set up and to manage, but the pros certainly outweigh the cons with the EFN program coming back into play, and that's certainly going to help increase your sales. Now, if you have any comments or queries in relation to this video and the information and the steps that we've covered, make sure you reach out to me or drop them below, and I'll be happy to come back with you, of course, and help answer them. And also, if you're keen to have me and my team support you through your Amazon journey one-to-one, and to help you seriously scale your business within the UK but also across the EU marketplaces, then get in contact with me and we'll jump on a call and we'll see if we're a good fit, and I'll tell you more about our mentorship and academy program. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Bye for now.